Hi guys, and welcome back to a new video. In today's video, I want to talk about Legion Remix and I want to talk about what classes and races you should play during this Remix event. Before I start, it's important for you to remember that the Remix event is supposed to be a fun event, and also it's one of the rare occasions where all the different classes, all the different spec are at some point gonna be really powerful simply because you will become so powerful during the event. And so really it's something for you to keep in mind, because if for instance there's a class that you really love but it's not the most OP one, it doesn't really matter. Just use the class that you enjoy, the one that you will have fun with. That's what matters the most. But of course, if you also want to be a little bit more efficient and if you want to think of a few extra things you can gain by simply choosing a different race or a different class, then this video will maybe and hopefully be helpful for you. So the first important thing that I want to talk about is of course the key end game of Legion Remix, which is collecting all the different rewards, whether it is from the different achievements or from the bronze, which will then allow you to buy all the mounts, transmogs, and all these things from the different vendors. So here, in order for you to maximize bronze farming during Legion Remix, because you will need a lot of it, approximately if you want to buy everything from all the vendors, it will cost you around 8.5 million bronze. So of course, if you can choose a class that perhaps will help you farm a little faster some of these different bronze, that's something you might want to consider. Here you have a few good options in my opinion. One of them is, as always, going to be Druid, simply because Druid can play any of the different roles. So if, for instance, you want to do some Mythic Plus and try to get a lot of bronze through Mythic Plus, you will be able to queue as a tank, as a healer, as a DPS. Or if you want to do some open farm, you will also be able to use, for instance, Moonkin and to use your AoE spells in order to kill a lot of mobs at the same time. And of course, with Druid, you can also go pretty fast inside of raids and dungeons. So overall, Druid is a really solid class if you want to farm bronze really efficiently during Legion Remix. Another one is, of course, the Demon Hunter, especially because with the increased mastery, Demon Hunters are super fast in World of Warcraft. And so during this event, they will have a really insane increased speed. And also, of course, they are really OP, especially during Remix. They will be really good, and you can both tank and DPS with your Demon Hunter. So this is another pretty interesting one to choose from. I will also mention Paladins because similar, they can do all the different roles and they can also be very helpful. Maybe they won't be as OP for all the different open world farms, but when it comes to Mythic Plus, for instance, they will definitely be a good class to choose from. Another one you might want to do is Monk, because Monk can do also all the different type of roles. And with their little statue, they are very OP for open world farms because they will aggro all the mobs around them. So usually it's pretty easy to get invited into a group if you are playing on a Monk. There are also the Death Knight, which are just very powerful characters. And so here, especially if you want to farm bronze through Mythic Plus and this type of things, it's going to be a really good class to choose from. Hunter might also be a pretty good option if you want to do a lot of solo content, because your pet will basically allow you to tank most of it, especially by the end of the event. So that's another good option again. And finally, I will also maybe here mention mages and warlocks, because both of them are really good also for AoE damage. And so that might be another good thing to consider if you want to do a lot of these different group farms. Now, another end game of Legion Remix is gonna be Mythic Plus. And so here, of course, I'm not gonna lie, this is maybe the only reason why you might want to choose a specific class based on how good they perform in the game. Again, by the end of the event, it won't really matter that much because every character will be OP. But during the first few phases, it will still be something pretty relevant, especially if you are planning to really push for Mythic Plus keys. So here I will share in the description a list of all the most OP classes that you can use, because again, there's plenty of them. But if you are really trying to go for Mythic Plus, try to choose first a class that can do all the different roles, because again, you will probably need a little bit of everything. A class that can really perform well, whether it's as a healer, a tank, or a DPS. So here, just go again, check the tier list, and you will be able to see, for instance, which one is the best performing healer, the best performing DPS. Like that, hopefully you will be able to have a class that will be very useful for Mythic Plus, and you won't have to spend too much time in the queue when you will want to do some of this content. And here I think it's important to remember that Mythic Plus is going to be by far the easiest way to gear up your characters and also to farm bronze. So this is something for you to keep in mind. Now, another important thing to remember is the fact that in Legion, your class actually matters quite a lot, because you will have the main campaign that will be around your class order role, your different artifact weapons. And so here I would really recommend you to just take a moment, look a little bit at, for instance, some of the different weapons that you will be able to get from the artifact system. Also, the class order roles, all the different campaigns are completely different. Some of them are really interesting with really good storylines. Others are a little bit more boring. And try to choose the one that you really prefer, even if it's maybe a character or a class that in the normal retail version of the game you wouldn't really want to use. Here, this is the perfect occasion to learn more about it, and if you especially enjoy the aesthetic and the universe a little bit of this class, then try to choose this one. At least you will enjoy doing the campaign, and you will be able to unlock all the different artifact appearances from this class over, of course, than the Mage Tower and the PvP ones. And so like that, then you will be able to also have them with you in the retail version of the game. And if you want to really push the class fantasy to the maximum, I would probably encourage you to also try and have at least one Demon Hunter during Legion Remix, because this is the expansion during which this new class was first introduced. And of course, a lot of things revolve around the Demon Hunters. So if you want to have fun and rediscover a little bit this expansion through the lens of a new character back in Legion, maybe creating a Demon Hunter might be a good idea, and you will be fully invested in the class fantasy of Legion. And another argument maybe for you to consider when it comes to Demon Hunters is simply the fact that in Midnight, the next expansion, we will have a new third spec for the Demon Hunters. And so it means that if you are interested in trying this new spec, which is going to be this cool Void spec, then maybe creating a Demon Hunters through this event will be good, because then you will be able to use it in the retail version of the game and in Midnight, and you will be able to have access to this new spec and to try it out. So just something for you to remember, because it is going to be one of the major new content in Midnight. And so right now is going to be the perfect occasion for you to level up a new Demon Hunter to the maximum level. Similar here, I think it's important for you to remember that all the different characters you are creating in Legion Remix will then be transferred to the normal version of the game. And so maybe just think of what type of classes you want to play in Midnight. So like that, you can maybe create some new classes that you don't have already, and you will be able to have them ready for Midnight. Especially right now, there's a lot of information that is being shared already on some of the different class changes that will happen with Midnight and some of the rework for some of the classes. So maybe just have a look, and if there is one that really interests you, you can decide to pick up this class in Remix, and like that you will have it as a level 80 character after that for Midnight. Another important thing to remember is that through Remix, you will also be able to unlock all the different heritage armor sets, because again, when you reach level 80 in Remix, you will then be able to transfer your character to the retail version of the game, and there you will then have access to the quest that will reward you with the different heritage sets. So again, that might be a good thing to consider if there are some that you're a really big fan of, but you don't have a level 80 of this specific race yet. Also, just as a reminder, during Legion Remix, you will be able to unlock some recolored versions of the Nightborn and Lightforged Draenei sets, and these are really amazing. So if you want to be able to use these, you will need to have either a Nightborn or a Lightforged Draenei, and so maybe you might want to have one of these different races, because again, I think these sets are absolutely amazing, especially the Nightborn one. And also remember that with patch 11.2.7, just before the release of midnight, we will have the new heritage armor set for the Pandaren. These are also really nice, so if you love these sets and you want to be able to use them at some point, just create a Pandaren because otherwise you won't be able to use this new cool set. So as you can see, there's plenty of things to consider when you are thinking of which class and which race to use for Legion Remix. I think again, the few important things to remember is first of all, it's going to be pretty simple at some point to level up some alts. So it's okay. For instance, you start with one class and you realize you're not a big fan. You'll be able to create another one. Also, all the rewards normally are things you will be able to learn on any characters, on any class. So it doesn't really matter. For instance, if you want to get all the shaman loot, you can still do that on a warrior. So that's completely fine. And of course, my main recommendation really is first for you to have fun. So make sure to use something that will make you have fun and just use something that is pretty polyvalent that can, for instance, be good in Mythic Plus, that can be good in solo content, that can be good, for instance, also in open world farms and all these type of things, because like that, you will be able to really do a little bit of everything and you won't be stuck in only one category. So that's really my main recommendation. And here, as always, I really think druids are probably one of the best for that because they can do everything and they're a very OP class in general for farming. So let me know in the comments what you think and what you are planning to do. I will be back very soon with more guides and more videos, especially on Legion Remix. So if you enjoyed the videos, don't hesitate to subscribe. I will see you all very soon. Bye!